everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 553. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward and our Pathfinders Mastermind group. And today we have a special treat. We have Scarlett Braden, who is the head coach of our Groundbreakers Mastermind group from Best Page Forward. Scarlett, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. How are you, Brian?
Oh man, I'm ready. We just hung out a lot at our self-publishing live event that you helped to organize, and so we just spent a good amount of time here in Chapel Hill together. We were living in our author era, according to our Taylor Swift bracelets that we gave out.
We absolutely were in our author era. Still are.
Still are. Scarlett, you've written a ton of cozies. You've coached a lot of people. I mean, it's awesome getting to keep writing and keep coaching at the same time. Why do you like coaching?
I love coaching because it lets me, I view it probably a little bit differently than most people do. When people that I'm working with have success, it's the same feeling as like grandchildren to my books out there. You know, it's that legacy of generations of books that are making readers happy.
Yeah.
And so it also makes the authors happy. So everybody's happy. And it's just a great place to be.
Yeah, I really like it too. I've loved authors that we started helping in ad school who went on to coaching, who went on to our coaching groups like Groundbreakers and Pathfinders. Groundbreakers, you don't need any kind of income to be a part of Groundbreakers. Pathfinders, you need to have $2,500 a month royalties or higher. I have loved folks who've started off in ad school, went to Groundbreakers, then have come to me in Pathfinders or gone on to our author ad agency. I just found this out. I haven't told anyone in the company, so you get to hear this first. So LJ Andrews just hit a $2 million year.
Wow.
And so she's an example. She started in ad school, went through coaching, and then went to our agency. And look, results not typical, but it's pretty amazing.
Not typical, but she worked her tail off to make it happen.
She really did. Few people work as hard as her. And so we're really proud of her. We're proud of all of our students who come up. I don't think we've mentioned it much on the show here, but because there's no income cap, income level to be a part of it, Groundbreakers is a great program for folks to be a part of. It's a 6-month program. Scarlett runs it with Craig, fantastic coaching duo. And you can apply to be a part of our Groundbreakers program. It's a great time to start planning for 2025, become a part of the program. bestpageforward.net/groundbreakers. So
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, of
We
course.
look forward to helping even more authors.
Absolutely. So previous week, we talked about what entrepreneurial thing has Taylor Swift or another celebrity done that you would love to see brought into publishing. Obviously, we did our bracelets. Karen Heenan said, I really just appreciate her mindset of that doesn't work for me, so I'm going to do something else. And she has the resources in the team to do just that. But there are plenty of artists with resources and teams. Her success is because of the way her mind works. And Hannah Aking said, she hides Easter eggs throughout her content, both in the marketing material and the songs themselves, giving her listeners a double dose of entertainment. Scarlett, what do you like that T Swift does in her marketing that you think authors could do too?
She blatantly puts it out there in the lyrics of one of her songs. She says, I hide narcotics in my songs, and that's why you're still singing along. And I think that equates to the butter that we talk about in fiction and keeping our readers entertained and coming back for more.
it makes me almost wonder, like, so there's butter in the books, there can be butter in the marketing too. And I think
Absolutely.
Taylor
For
Swift does
sure.
a good job of both.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
true mastermind.
Exactly. Exactly. But y'all can answer the question of the week at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. Let's go into the top story. Of course, sometimes these things happen when we've just recorded a couple episodes, so this might not be news to you, but Kindle Vamoose. Kindle Villa, Amazon's still somewhat new serialization platform for authors, is shutting down after less than 4 years, reports Jane Friedman in her Hot Sheet newsletter. Amazon's Vella was designed to compete with other serialized fiction platforms such as Wattpad, Tapas, Webtoon, and Radish, but hasn't gained enough traction for Amazon to want to continue it, and it will close down in February 2025. The reaction from the author community is mixed. Over the past 3 years plus, Vella underwent several changes in how readers pay for stories and how authors are paid for writing, until finally the writing was on the wall, says author J.P. Rindfleisch from The Ninth. The shrinking bonus pool dropped from $1 million to $750,000 for August reads, and then down to $500,000 for September reads, and that was enough foreshadowing to soften the blow, end quote. Authors writing for Vella need to complete their stories by December 4th, after which no new episodes can be added. Vella will soon join the graveyard of failed Amazon reading programs, including Kindle Worlds, Kindle Press, Kindle Scout, and even a previous attempt at serials called Kindle Serials. So, Scarlett, did this surprise you at all that Vella is on its way out?
No, it was not a shock.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've said it on the show, I feel like 2 years ago. Hey, can someone who's having Kindle Vella success come on the show? Because we would love to have them. And since that time, I have actually spoken to a couple authors who do have success with Kindle Vella. Very few and far between, though. I mean, like, Scarlett, what lessons do you think authors should take from the shutdown of Kindle Vella?
I think just like most all kinds of investing, being an early adopter can mean that you have an edge on those of us who prefer to enjoy a proven path, but it also comes with a higher risk. So understanding your own risk tolerance and comfortability, if you will, or adaptability is crucial in making the decision to jump feet first into any new tactic in business. And publishing is no different.
Right. I mean, it's like if you had jumped into TikTok back when it was Musically, and you were one of the first early adopters, and you have 100,000 followers on there now. That's great. But what if you had put all your time into Vine, which then got totally taken down, or into, MySpace back in the day? You really never know. So that's a very, very good point. There are people who have had success with Vella, but when you build on someone else's marketplace, you are beholden to their decisions, which is always
Yeah.
the tough part.
Yeah. So,
So,
Brian, how
yes.
can authors use the loss of yet another Amazon program to entice readers to join their email list?
Well, one of the tough parts with this, Scarlett, is that I hear word on the street is that comments were closed down pretty soon after this announcement went. So, as far as reaching your specific Vella people, it might be tough. It might be tough because there's no way to message them. So I think it's a lesson that when you're doing something, TikTok, Vella, anything that could go away at some point because it's someone else's platform, always be getting them to your email list. Always be subscribing. Get them to your list so that if something does happen, you don't lose contact with them, because you because Amazon was going to shut this down, they turned off the comments. But if you had been commenting all the while, at least once a week, you get the full story by joining my email list, sort of thing. Then you are able to reach out to them in the future. And so I think it is just a reminder that the best time to start your email list is today, and the second best time is tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So we got to go to the lightning round here, Scarlett. It's your turn to have a lightning sound. Ooh, that was good. I felt like there was a nice like rattle at the end. That's
Yeah.
what I think sold it for me. Scarlett, when you coach authors, as you coach over a dozen amazing groundbreakers, what tends to be the first thing authors need to focus on to head in a positive direction?
I think that understanding your desired outcome. And
Mm.
if that goal is financial, then treating your writing as a product and your publishing as a business will help you take the emotions out of the decisions and usually will take you further toward your goal than the alternative. But that is not to say that there's absolutely anything wrong with being a writer and the finances not being your important desired outcome. But for many of the authors that we work with, they're willing to go into coaching because that is their goal.
I love that you brought up the emotion part. I think that's, with both my books, Self-Publishing with Amazon Ads and Self-Publishing in Email Marketing, it's trying to talk about the emotional component throughout the story portions of those books, because it is not easy to treat your baby, to treat your beautiful little bouncing baby novel, to treat it like a product and to treat your career like a business. But every author who has succeeded long term, whether or not they put it into words, did have to transition into the product and business game at some point.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah. And
very
the
well said.
sooner, the easier, I think.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm ready for your question to me.
All right, Brian, when you coach full time authors, where do they find themselves when they first start working with you? And what do they need to do to move forward?
9 times out of 10, the authors that I coach in our Pathfinders program, they are overwhelmed. They are overloaded. They have gotten to this amazing place where they're earning over $2,500 a month, some of them over $10,000 a month. They have gotten there through sheer will, determination, and often releasing a lot of books. But usually they are having to pull themselves away from their 6 pre-orders and pull themselves out of all of their big projects, like they're doing audio on every single book or translations on every single book at the same time. They need to back off some of those things, because through all the noise, they cannot find what is the most profitable action they can do in that moment. But once they clear out some of the clutter, it becomes a lot easier to see, and they might be able to do a lot less work to have the same results. And that is often where we find them at the start.
That is fascinating to realize that the more successful that they become, the more they're trying to take on and not necessarily needing to take all of it at the same time.
They get excited though. They
Yeah.
want to. They really want to do it all. But remember, we need some JOMO instead of FOMO. We need some joy of missing out. So,
Yes. Yeah.
Scarlett, you and I have both been doing this a while here, since the grand dinosaur days of self-publishing here. Has changed a lot since you started. What do authors take for granted today that wasn't there when you started out?
Hands down for me is newsletter swaps and group promos. When I started back
Mm,
in 2015, organizing those were so painful,
so
both
painful.
because you were having to reach out to people that you didn't know. Most authors are introverts, and that's not comfortable. And I mean, the sheer number of Google forms that were floating around out there to sign up and agree to swap links and all that stuff it was really intimidating and overwhelming. And now with services like BookFunnel and Story Origin, it's just a click of a button to say, hey, show my book in your newsletter and I'll show yours and give my readers some extra value too. And I think it gets overlooked a lot because it can be so valuable in helping us get visibility with readers.
Yeah. Oh man. 2013, I organized a multi nonfiction author swap thingy called March to a Bestseller. Kudos to any of you who were around when that was happening. Um, oh my gosh, that was so crazy, and I did it all myself. And I made some good friends. That's how I originally got booked on the Sell More Books show with Jim. Was doing that event and not letting him in. But we already had the graphics made. But you know, the fact that it's so much easier with the tools we have now is definitely a step up. All right, your question to me, Scarlett.
Brian, what's something that self-published authors spend time or money on? Oh, sorry.
You skipped
Name an
yours.
author. I skipped one. Name an author who's inspired you in 2024.
I mean, I'm inspired by so many authors this year. I think there are incredible authors who are coming back from big challenges in their lives, like illness uh, and tragedy. There are authors who have earned a whole lot of money. There are authors who have done that sort of thing. But one of the authors who always inspires me, who's been a co-host on this show, guest co-host on the show, is Jeffrey Mason. Jeffrey, yes, is the author I know who has earned the most this year, and that I have not spoken to any author who comes anywhere close on that front. But Jeffrey inspires me with his positive energy that he always has. And when I see authors who are even doing pretty well, when they come into things with a real negative attitude, when they come into things assuming how is it going to go wrong, when they treat other people in the industry like crap, even if they're doing well, it I can see how it will not always last, and I have seen it in some cases not always last. But for someone like Jeffrey, who always comes in with such a positive attitude, that is the most inspiring thing, and it inspires me to come at things more positively and to be more optimistic.
I think he is probably one of the nicest people that I have ever come across in this industry or outside of it. And I agree with you that I think mindset has such a tremendous impact on our success and how we get along with others. And so I think he's an excellent pick for a
Yeah.
most inspiring author for 2024.
And I know Jeffrey still listens to the show, so I hope I didn't make you blush too much, sir. But we really appreciate you, and it's been an honor to have you as both a pathfinder in my coaching group and an author ad agency client as well. So big thank you to Jeffrey. Now it's time for this final question. It's not easy to keep track of everything. So what is something, Scarlett, that self-published authors spend time or money on that they think readers care about but probably never notice?
This is probably not going to be a very popular answer. But for me, it's cover reveals. And I love covers more than anybody. I absolutely love covers. Getting my own covers is like Christmas Day every time. And I get so excited about it. And I think most authors do too. But I think some authors spend an awful lot of time and prep and doing these big elaborate cover reveals, and I don't think readers are all that concerned. They just want to know when they get to read the next book.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it it's one of those things where when you actually break down every step of your launch and you see how many sales or pre-orders you got in a certain time, some of this is trackable. It's not easy, but some of this is trackable. If you run pre-orders, it might not be, but yeah, I mean, I think as an author, you kind of need to call everything into question. Will this actually work? Will this actually help? Because if you identify things that don't work or don't help, you can get rid of them.
Yes, and every little bit of time that we can save is valuable, because that little bit of time that we save is what's going to get us to the next book.
100%. Scarlett, we need a question of the week. We talked about Vella. We talked about some of these aspects of being coached. What do you want to ask our intrepid, or the general subject, and I can frame a question around it? What do you want to ask?
I would love to know, if money was no object and you could hire a coach for your author career, what is the most valuable thing that you feel like a coach could give you or help you with?
I love it. If money was no object and you could hire a coach for your author career, what is the most valuable thing that you feel like they could help you with? Great question. You can answer the question of the week over at the Sell More Book Show website, sellmorebookshow.com, or the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. Scarlett, why should authors consider joining the wonderful 6-month Groundbreakers coaching group that they can apply to at bestpageforward.net/groundbreakers?
I think that the ideal author candidate for Groundbreakers is someone who is still struggling to try to get to where they want to be. And they're at that point where they're ready and willing to do anything. They just don't necessarily know what that is or how to do it. And they just need someone who's there for them, who can answer those questions and give them accountability, as well as the support, knowing that there's somebody behind them that's going to hold their hand if they need it, or push them off an edge if that's what they need. And we do a little bit of both in Groundbreakers. We do a little bit of pushing them out of the nest and holding their hands on the way down.
Love it. Love it. bestpageforward.net/groundbreakers. You get to work with Scarlett, who is awesome. And yeah, I mean, it is part of our kind of path up. And our goal is to get everybody to where their full potential lies. And Groundbreakers is a program I'm really proud of. I'm glad that we have it, and I'm proud to be coaching several people who have now got, I mean, like, you think of folks who were earning under $1,000 a month. I know several who are in my Pathfinders group who had $8,000 months in Pathfinders this year, and that likely doesn't happen without them studying all the way up. And we're really glad to help people who are kind of in this mushy middle, these mushy mid-listers who want to move on up. So we're really happy to have that program.
Yeah, thanks for having me here and letting me talk about Groundbreakers, because I'm pretty excited about it too.
Good. Well, you're coming back next week as well, so I hope you're warmed up and ready to talk even more about it.
Ready and willing.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for listening. For Scarlett, I'm Brian. Have a great week of book selling, everyone, and we'll be back next week with episode 554. Bye.